Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We are today with the 5GASP project. We have had our plenary yesterday, so we are happy to be with most of the consortium partners here in Bucharest. So we thank you once again for joining us live online as well. We will go through the day presenting our 5G Netapp Lab program that's dedicated to startups, SMEs, and developers. We will be showcasing what we are doing in 5GASP project to support developers in developing innovative Netapps. And then we will be presenting some use cases and some examples of such Netapps that we hope will be an inspiration to everyone thinking about starting to develop a Netapp, or give some examples and some practical information from those who are already developing. So we are here in the Orange Romania headquarters. So for a short intro and welcome, I will invite Radu Miloșoiu, our head of engineering, just to tell us a few words.
So thank you, Monica. No need to present myself. I want to welcome you here in Romania, in Orange Romania headquarters. And I wish all of you to have a fruitful event and a very successful one. So a short introduction of who we are. We are Orange Romania. Of course, we are part of the Orange Group, which is one of the biggest, let's say, telco groups in Europe and in the world. In Orange Romania, we are, let's say, the number one operator on the Romanian market in what it means customers and revenue. We have started our journey like 22 years ago. We are Orange since 20 years, a bit more than 20 years, as we were rebranded a bit later. We are the number one, as I mentioned, in terms of, we were traditionally a mobile operator. We have started our journey or our transformation towards convergence a few years ago, and we have accelerated it very much in the last year with the acquisition of the Romanian incumbent. We are currently not one company, but we are working to become one. We are proud to be, let's say, the number one operator in terms of quality of service for both mobile and fiber. We are proud to be the number one operator in terms of device, let's say, retailer on the market. And we are most proud of being the most innovative operator in the Romanian market. So, okay, clicker. Thank you. So, as I mentioned, since last year, we accelerated our journey towards becoming a convergent operator through the acquisition of the Romanian incumbent, so the traditional company, former called Telecom Communications, now since recently it's rebranded Communications, and we are working to become one company. We are having the largest base of mobile customers, and we are working to continuously increase our base of convergent customers. We are always bringing on the market the newest technologies and the newest devices. So I don't know what I did. Okay. So in terms of innovation, we are the first one on the market to demonstrate 5G. Some years ago, we were the first operator in Orange Group and in Romania to commercially launch the 5G, and we are first and only operator on the Romanian market that has a 5G working lab, open for innovation, for startups, for universities, for companies that wish to start working or to benefit from the advantages of this technology. We are also having a path and the transformation path towards becoming a digital operator. We have many initiatives on this. Yoxo, it's one that we are quite proud of with a completely digital subscription. We are having one of the best e-shops in the Romanian market. We are trying to bring more and more operators on the digital assistance, and we are trying to digitalize as much as possible the interaction with our customers. On top of this, we are having other initiatives like Orange Money, which is a financial institution linked somehow and integrated with our products. We are having an important market for the ICT products that we deliver to Romanian enterprises, small, medium, and of course, large ones. So as mentioned, innovation is in our heart. We are proud to host and to, let's say, be the first one on the Romanian market that brought up this 5G lab in cooperation with the University Polytechnic of Bucharest. I will not spend too much time because my colleagues will present all the details, but here we were the first one in Romania and in Orange Group to demonstrate an essay use case, to demonstrate the URLC 5G communication, to put, let's say, or to make available to Romanian university ecosystem and to the Romanian enterprises and to the Romanian startups this 5G SA infrastructure, and we are doing this since the beginning of this year. So it's not yet commercial, okay, we are still waiting for the 5GB to happen in Romania, but as I say, it's only an SA currently available here, but we are able to allow, let's say, everybody to play with this technology if they will and to demonstrate the benefits. One important aspect in our, let's say, innovation area is the participation in the European projects. This is you can see the portfolio of projects. Most of them are successfully concluded. Some of them are still in progress. ASP is one of them. So we are part and we are proud to be the only Romanian operator that is involved in such project with a very powerful and strong team with very nice competencies, and we hope that we will continue to collaborate with you and maybe with others in further projects. Thank you very much. Have a very nice event and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Radu. Next, I will invite Diogo, the project coordinator for 5G ASP.
Hello, everyone. My name is Diogo Gomes. From the University of Aveiro, Instituto de Telecomunicações. I'm coordinator of Project 5GASP, and I'm here to present you what the 5GASP project is and how you as a Netapp developer can benefit from our project and from the results of our project. So what is 5GASP? 5GASP is about accelerating SMEs into the world of 5G Netapps. So what we provide you is an open and inter-domain 5G NFV-based reference architecture and ecosystem with experimental facilities. That means that we have not just created for you availability of infrastructure, but also created for you procedures, tools, and documentation that can assist you into creating your own Netapps. 5GASP provides all these free of charge. We provide everything using public licensing, and we strive to create a community of Netapp developers that can assist each other in creating and evolving the 5G ecosystem. We have testbeds all over Europe, as our partners are spread from the west to the east. We have testbeds from Portugal, Bristol, Spain, Slovenia, and here in Bucharest, Romania, as well as in Greece. And with all these testbeds spread around the world, it's expected you to be able to either approach virtually. Today, everything is virtual, and you can access virtually to any testbed. But also, you have special equipment. You can probably contact one of our testbeds and reach them out to test some physical device in one of our facilities. So what are the objectives of our project? We want to accelerate the development and the testing and also the certification of Netapps through the creation of a common platform. We provide DevOps tools, we provide the certification roadmap, and we provide state-of-the-art test beds where applications from relevant verticals, namely automotive vertical and the PPDR vertical can test their applications. We're not limited to these two verticals. Actually, our testbeds are generic, and we provide support to any vertical that wishes to use our resources. We strive to also innovate in 5G aspects. 5G is already commercial, but some things are still not there yet. So we are working also in aspects related to inter-domain use cases, security aspects, and trust aspects related many of the times to the use of our networks. We want also to automate the process of testing and validation. Much of what you can benefit from 5GASP is the fact that we develop tests, tools, as well as validation processes that can assist you into validating before you go to your first client and operator, for instance. So you can bring your application with some assurance that it actually works and that it has been proved to be valid in a given test bed. We also want to provide a community of practice. This is very important in today's world. We want to have a place which is online, which is our community portal, where people can share information. It has a forum, it has a wiki with documentation, it has many information about how to develop, definitions on what all of these terms from 5G mean. We want to bring you in. You can put your questions into our forum. You can look the previous questions, and you can mingle with other Netapp developers. And this way, you can benefit from the knowledge sharing of everyone in. We also want to create a business model around our testbed platform and tools. And this is something that we want to, I will not call it export, but at least to expand the impact of our results by making sure that others can replicate what we have done before. So how we are going to achieve this in our project? Mostly through the DevOps of 5G networks. The basic idea is to bring in IT DevOps knowledge into 5G networks, so with continuous integration and testing of Netapps. We want to have, and we have, vertical testing and inter-domain facilities connected all over Europe that provide the means to test and validate all the Netapps. We are creating a Netapp certification roadmap that in the next year will be available for everyone to get certified. And we have the community building process going on through our community portal. I will leave the URL of the community portal in the following slides, where we want to have everyone working in this area involved, exchanging knowledge and benefiting from this knowledge exchange. Also, we will create the Netapp Marketplace. What is this marketplace? We're not here to sell your application, but we want to showcase your application. So if you come to 5GASP and you test in one of our platforms, we will be able to showcase you in our portal, showcasing what your Netapp is about and what it can do for your customers, and show that your Netapp was validated in one of our test beds. We follow a V-shaped methodology. So when you have your Netapp developed, you can come to us and we will guide you through a process that comes from the validation, that you have a VNF, that you can be tested. We will provide you test results, and we will guide you towards achieving a certification level. All this process is automated, and that means that you can iterate on your own. We provide you feedback through automation tools, and our expectation is that this will help you to develop your applications faster and providing more quality for them. So our online presence, you find us both in our project webpage, www.5gasp.eu, but more importantly, you can find us in our community portal, which is community.5gasp.eu. This community portal is free and open. You can register, you can join. You can use this also as a marketing tool just to show that you're part of this community, showcasing your products to other Netapp developers and to new prospective clients. And you can also take part in the discussions, in contributing documentation, contributing to our wiki. And this is a very important aspect of our project, this environment and community of practice. We also have a forum. A forum is open for technical discussions, so please make the best use of it. And of course, you should follow us on our social media to know about more events and new opportunities that we are creating, such as the Netapp Lab program that we are here jump-starting. So what is the 5GASP Netapp Lab program? Who is it for? First of all, it is for everyone, from a bunch of developers who have not yet created a startup, to the startup that has already been incorporated, to the SME that already has some products and wants to make a Netapp out of their products, to even research institutes, researchers doing research that want to try out or even thinking about becoming a company one day. So we target everyone that is interested and has an intention of working in this area. We are going to select teams who will get support, and they will get support in what terms? They will get test and validation of your products in real-life scenarios and on real-life 5G test beds. You can choose one of the test beds from our network of test beds, or you can even use various test beds for your use case if you have an inter-domain use case. You can integrate the latest tools and platforms that support continuous integration and continuous delivery. You can use our open source tools, but you can also, instead of installing them yourself, you can use them on our test beds and in our infrastructure. We make them available to you. We also provide you feedback. We provide you with value propositions that can help you leverage your Netapps. This is the main point of this program. And we hope that you can gain visibility towards investors in social media by joining in on this process. So you get exposure to the outside world while participating in this program. So we have a timeline that will take us about 1 year. We start today with the call for applications. It's open right now. So until July, where we have a deadline on the very last day of the month, you can apply for the Netapp Lab program. We have set up a form online. After you apply, we will go into an evaluation and selection period, and it will be extended until the end of the summer. Some vacations coming in also, so some delays are expected. But this selection process, we will have experts from our project and from the partners that are part of our project, leading experts that will evaluate your application and will pick the most interesting applications that can have more benefits from this project. We will also create several workshops and mentorships where we have these experts that will select your Netapp, tutoring you and giving you feedback and providing you with insights into what things that you can do to improve your Netapp, how to make best use of the 5G network, how to make best use of the tools to fast develop and certify your applications. And we will have this support going through all year of 2023 up to a final event. On this final event, it will take place in October 2023. It will take place in my hometown in Aveiro. And in that place, we will have the results of your applications and an interesting event that will close the Netapp Lab program. So thank you so much for paying attention today. We will now showcase some of the Netapps that are part of our project that will provide you with ideas and also provide you with incentives of what you can also do, how you can apply some of these ideas to a different market, to a different country, and create new products for everyone in Europe. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So next, Rafael. So for everyone online, just use the chat in Zoom if you have any questions or comments, and we keep an eye on that, and we'll address everything that you write there. That's it.
Is it working? Yeah. So, hello everyone. My name is Rafael Direito. I'm from IT Aveiro in Portugal. And alongside with Jorge Gallego Madrid, we'll be presenting the 5GASP ecosystem, okay? So, our presentation will mainly address three different topics. The first one is the 5GASP testbeds. The second one, our design and development methodology, and finally we will address our validation framework, okay? So we will start by the 5GASP testbeds. Okay, so the 5GASP project aims to shorten the idea to market process, okay? Aims to make this process faster. And to do so, we will introduce a unified testbed for the SMEs, for the European SMEs to use, to test, to deploy, test, validate, etc. Okay, they will be able to experiment different things on our test beds, okay, and even get a certification. Okay, Ben, during the afternoon, you will talk a little bit more about our certification process. But during this presentation, we will focus on the test beds. Okay, so to offer this unified test bed, okay, the 5GASP project comprises 6 different test beds. Okay, so we have IT Aveiro's testbed in Portugal, in Aveiro. We have a testbed in Murcia, in Spain. We also have a testbed in Bristol, another one in Patras. Then we have 2 more testbeds, one in Slovenia, in Ljubljana, and the other one here in Bucharest, in Romania. Okay, so starting by the IT Aveiro's testbed. As the NFVO, we support different versions of OSM, okay? We have OSM 10, OSM 11, and if a new release arises, we will deploy this new release and we will make it available for the SMEs to use it, okay? As the NFVI, for now, we only have OpenStack, but we are currently working on also providing Kubernetes, so you as an SME can deploy KNFs in our testbeds, okay? So we also have a 5G standalone architecture implemented using Huawei technologies. We also have a RAN implemented using the Huawei technological stack. And in our testbed, you may find several CPEs that you can use and several monitoring and telemetry systems. Okay. Our testbed is composed of 4 different sites. Okay, we have 2 on-campus sites, our main one and our secondary. Then we have an industrial site and an outdoor site, okay? And in our testbed, we mainly have 3 different use cases, okay? The first one is the transportation use case, then we have the energy use case, and then we also have the industry 4.0 use case. Moving on to the testbed that is present in the University of Patras, they have a 5G core and a 5G run that they integrate with their open source based NFV platform. They can provide you a 5G standalone architecture or a non-standalone architecture, okay? They also have a 4G network, which is also available, a 4G run, which is also available for the testbeds, for the SMEs, I'm sorry. Besides that, they also have several user equipment and CPEs, and they also offer several monitoring services that can be of use to the SMEs. Moving on to the Orange Romania testbed, right now they have fully implemented a 5G ICT 1719 testbed. Okay, this testbed uses an open-air interface core network. Okay, and they have a 3GPP EPC implementation. They have several 5G service-based core networks. and as the NFVI, they are using OpenStack, and they also provide Kubernetes. Okay. Now, in the scope of the 5GAS project, Oro made a commitment of providing new test beds. Okay, so they are currently working on 2 new test beds, one non-standalone model, okay, with one test bed with a non-standalone architecture, and one 5G standalone release 16 test bed. Okay, now moving on to our test bed in Murcia, the Gaia 5G test bed. They also provide several open OSM releases as their NFVO. They can provide you OpenStack, okay, but I think that they are also working on providing Kubernetes, right? Yeah, they are working on providing Kubernetes. They offer a standalone architecture and a non-standalone architecture in their test bed, and they have a 5G standalone core implemented with free 5G core. In this test bed, you have several CPEs available, and you also have several telemetry and monitoring mechanisms in place. Regarding the use cases that are currently being experimented in this testbed, they are mainly related to the transportation and vehicular use cases, but they also are making some work regarding the automated security and the automated orchestration. Okay, this testbed is composed of two different sites. One is the Attica site, and the other one is the Luís Vives site. Okay. In its testbed, as an FVO, not only OSM, but also ONAP. Okay, so it's one of the testbeds in our project that provides ONAP as their NFVO. As the NFVI, they provide OpenStack and Kubernetes. They have also a 4G LTE network, okay, besides their 5G new radio network, okay. They have several SDR-based ENBs and GNBs. They also have several user equipment, several customer premises equipment, not only smartphones, but also industrial 5G gateways. Okay, as the telemetry and monitoring mechanisms that are deployed in this testbed, you may find a Prometheus stack, and you can find, as an SME, you can use their own service that is called QMon. As applicable use cases in this testbed, they are exploring public protection and disaster relief, okay, PPDR. Now, the 5G UK testbed also provides 4G networks and 5G networks, okay? They have SDN-enabled switches and routers and everything else. They, as the NFVI, they provide OpenStack. They also provide Kubernetes, okay? And to monitor their testbed, they have an in-house developed measurement and monitoring tool. Okay. Now, for the 5GAS project, they committed on providing some technologies, okay, for you as an SME to use to validate your Netapp. So they will provide several edge computing servers, several NFV orchestration tools. For instance, you can even host your Mano framework in their testbed, okay? They will give you access to your testbed, and you will be able to deploy there your OSM or any other Mano framework you wish. Okay. Besides that, you can also conduct several experiments using machine learning in their testbed, okay? Since they have a monitoring server that can use that can host the ELK stack. Now, currently we are trying to create an interdomain scenario, okay, so we are trying to interconnect all of our testbeds, and to do so, we are using overlay WireGuard tunnels, okay. These tunnels are orchestrated using a network orchestrator. It is a tool that we called, okay, Netor, okay. So Netor will deploy one VNF in each testbed, and this VNF will be composed of a WireGuard server, okay? And Netor will then interconnect all the WireGuard servers from all the testbeds, and it will create this mesh network, okay, interconnecting all of the testbeds. This will give us the ability of supporting interdomain use cases, where we can have some components of one Netapp deployed, for instance, in Portugal, and other components deployed, for instance, in Bristol or Murcia or wherever. Okay, we will make this scenario possible, and you, as SMEs, you will be able to use it to test your Netapps. Now, moving on to the 5 GASP design and development methodology. This part will be Jorge, which will be presenting this part. So, Jorge, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Rafael. Okay, I am Jorge Gallego from Odin's SME located in Murcia, in Spain. And I will talk you about the design and development methodology we are developing and we have developed within the context of the project. The aim of this methodology is to create a simple but effective life cycle for the development of the Netapps with the objective of ease the adoption of these technologies by the SMEs that are not familiar with our environment, our technologies, in order to make it easy and shorten this time from product to market. Okay, the life cycle is very simple. It is what we are used to in software development. The starting point of our methodology is an existing code base, an existing application, an existing service, and the first stage is the design of our Netapp. So we have to start thinking about 5G considerations that we have to take into account to develop the Netapp. For example, we have to define the network services and the virtual network functions that will compose our Netapp. I will show an example later of all of this. This is the initial considerations we have to take into account. Then we have to consider the relationship among our services. We have several components in our application, so we have to identify how it's the relationship among them. Then we have to consider another things such as the connectivity, the packaging, etc. So in order to have an initial set of requirements and an initial set of considerations to the development. Then we move to the network, let's say, specific things. For example, network specific, 5G network specific requirements. I will show an example later. And for example, we have to concentrate on the network slice that will host our application. We have to consider what kind of network characteristics we will need for our application, certain latency constraint, certain bandwidth, etc., etc. So that is the initial study we have to do. And finally, we have to think about the testing procedure we want to perform over the application once it's deployed, in order to know if it works properly, if it has been correctly deployed, and if it correctly operates with the expected behavior of our application. Okay. So now that we have performed this initial design, this initial study of our application and of our Netapp, we can start the development of the descriptors. At the end, a Netapp, it is composed of 3 parts. Our components, the network slice description that will host the application, and also the testing definition. So, for example, starting from the descriptors, here we are talking about VNFs and network services. The VNFs at the end are the components, so we have to define how these components will be hosted in the form, for example, of OSM or Tosca. We will follow these standards. We provide guidelines, examples, tutorials, so to make it very easy and ease this adoption. And this information will be offered beforehand to the developers, so you can make it in a short time. Then we have to develop the NSTs. That's the relation, how it's the relation between our components, is a description of these things. Then moving on to the GST nest, this is the definition of our network slice. As I have mentioned before, here we have to describe the network requirements we will have. So, for example, We can consider testbed capabilities. As Rafael have just mentioned, we have different testbeds with different capabilities, so we can adapt our Netapp, our network requirements to the one that best suits our needs. At the first stages, this nest will be offered by the testbed, so we can directly adapt our Netapp to that testbed. But in the future, maybe you will be able to have a dynamic assignment of this Netapp to the most appropriate testbed. In this development of the network, networks like Descriptor, we have to take into account, for example, the area of service where will be located the Netapp, the throughput we will need, the latency, and this kind of consideration we will have to describe. Okay, and finally, regarding the testing descriptors, we will have different phases. At first place, for example, we want to test if our Netapp has been correctly deployed and it is operating. So we can perform some infrastructure tests with some KPIs and some evaluations to know that the Netapp is correctly hosted, and then we can go on to the developer-defined test. This kind of test will be although we will obviously have example, etc., this can be developed by the Netapp owners themselves, so they can perform and test specific things about their Netapps that they want to know if it is correctly functioning. For example, this is an example of this description of the test. We describe the setup of the different components, the execution of this test, and what we expect from the test, the results, if it passes or it doesn't pass. As I mentioned, we have different categories of tests regarding the infrastructure, regarding the specific operation, regarding the vertical in which we are employing the Netapp, etc. Now that we have, let's say, our Netapp developed, we have our descriptor, we have our components, our network slice, and then our test. The next step would be the onboarding to the 5GAS platform. I will not enter into details about the platform, and once you onboard, it triggers the whole procedure of the 5GAS platform, and it will start the deployment and the testing of the application. Here, well, another example in detail about the triplet that conforms the Netapp that triggered the 5GAS procedure and how it start the deployment and testing. Now, here we can see, for example, an example of the development. We will talk later about this Netapp in specific, but here we have, for example, the descriptor of the components of the Netapp, the VNF and the network services. We define the components, that is the VNFs. You can see the VNFs interconnection, how each component of the Netapp communicate with each other, and for example some other things such as the image that the component will use, for example a Debian, Ubuntu, etc., and the flavor, the resources, the hardware resources that our component will use. So this is to showcase how it can be done. And this is the kind of example we will provide, so you just have to adapt your requirements to this descriptor. This is, for example, a network slice descriptor, a GST nest, where you can see how we have described the area of service, the Murcia in Spain, some requirements about a specific mission critical support, etc., and, for example, applied to the vehicular scenario, and some certain quality of service indicators, and also, for example, specific automotive vertical considerations such as the speed of the vehicle that we will have to support from the network, of course. And finally, the example of the testing. Here you can see a Netapp descriptor, test descriptor example in which we define the testing procedure and in each stage, and it points to the Netapp test descriptor and the developer defined test. On the right side, you can see a test that have been developed by us, and it is automatically executed and applied to our deployed Netapp. And finally, here you can see an example of a local instantiation of the Netapp in our testbed. So you have here the whole process of our methodology. With this methodology, as I have said, we aim at shorten this time from the idea to the market, and following these guidelines, you can convert your application to a Netapp in a few weeks or even less once you have more practice and knowledge. And okay, that's all from my part. Thank you very much. Now Rafael will continue talking a little bit more in detail about our validation framework.
So as Dirk said in the beginning of this event, we will provide a validation framework for the SMEs to use to validate their Netapps. Okay, our base methodology is this one, and we will help you throughout the development process of your Netapp. We will help you with creating some tests to validate your Netapp, and in the end, we will deploy your Netapp, we will validate it, and if the Netapp is validated, it will be considered as certified, and the Netapp will be published in our Netapp store, okay, in our certified 5GASP Netapp store. Now, this is the architecture of our validation service, and it is easier if I explained you following the workflow of this validation framework, okay? So it all starts with stage 0, which is the onboarding of a Netapp bundle to our nodes. The nodes is a component called the Netapp Onboarding and Deployment service, okay? So you as a Netapp developer, you will have to onboard a Netapp bundle to nodes. And this bundle will be composed of all the artifacts of the Netapp, all the testing artifacts, and a network slice, okay, where your Netapp will be deployed. Now, after you submit your Netapp bundle to nodes, the nodes will perform a static validation of all the artifacts that were onboarded. And if this validation is successful, then the nodes will communicate with the NFVO in the testbed where the Netapp will be deployed, and it will transfer the Netapp to the target facility, okay? Then it will be this NFVO, for instance OSM, which will be responsible for deploying the Netapp. After the deployment of the Netapp is finished, the NFVO will inform OpenSlice, which is our nodes. Our nodes portal is implemented using OpenSlice. But the NFVO will inform the nodes portal that the Netapp is deployed, and then the nodes will be the component who will trigger the validation process, okay? To trigger the validation process, the nodes will interact with our CI/CD manager, which is responsible for managing all of our validation process, okay? And once the CI/CD manager is triggered, the CI/CD manager will get the testing artifacts that were onboarded by the Netapp developers, then it will create a Jenkins configuration pipeline, and it will then send this configuration pipeline to our CI/CD agent, which is deployed on the testbed where the Netapp is also deployed, okay? Our CI/CD agents right now are implemented using Jenkins, but we can also use other software stacks, okay? But for now we have chosen Jenkins. Once the configuration pipeline reaches Jenkins, Jenkins will start a new validation process, and to do so, Jenkins will gather some tests from our local test repositories. Okay, so each testbed will be composed by one or at least one local test repository, which will store some predefined tests that are available to be executed in the testbed. Now, after our CI/CD agent gathers the tests, it will execute the tests, and it will report back the results to the CI/CD manager, which will then forward the results to the nodes, thus making these results available to the Netapp developers, okay? Now, we will explore each of these phases into further detail, okay? So, during stage 0, as I said, the Netapp developers will have to submit a Netapp bundle, okay? This bundle will contain all of the Netapp artifacts and the testing information, okay? The testing information will comprise at least a testing descriptor, which is a YAML file which will guide all the validation process. And as testing information, the developers will be allowed to onboard their own created tests, okay? We call these tests developer-defined tests, okay? The 5GASP ecosystem also provides its own tests, the predefined tests. These are tests that are global and that can be used to validate all the Netapps, but you as a Netapp developer, you also will have the opportunity to onboard your own tests that will validate the behavior and the functionality of your Netapp, okay? Now, besides this, you will also have to onboard, or you will also have to choose a list of requirements that are needed for deploying your Netapp, okay? Because we have different test beds, our different test beds have different resources, so you will have to tick some boxes choosing all the requirements which you'll need, so we can choose the test bed where to deploy your Netapp, okay? Now moving on to the pre-deployment validation, the nodes will, in this phase, the nodes will validate the artifacts that were onboarded, so it will validate the Netapp artifacts. For instance, it will validate the descriptors regarding their syntax, their semantics, their references, their internal references, and the nodes alongside with the CI/CD manager will also validate the testing descriptor that you as an Netapp developer onboarded in our system. Now, moving on to the Netapp deployment. So the first phase is to choose the test bed where your Netapp will be deployed, okay? So right now we are still working on this process. Okay, but this process will be developed according to three different iterations. Okay, so during the first iteration, which is the one that we are right now. Okay, we are on the first iteration. We will have a network slice deployed in each test bed, and this network slice will be common in all of the test beds. So it doesn't matter if your Netapp is onboarded to Aveiro's test bed or to Bristol test bed. It doesn't matter, okay, because the network slice will be the same. Then on the second iteration, we will provide the Netapp developers with a listing of all the requirements that are available in each test bed. And only during that iteration, the Netapp developer will be able to tick those boxes that I referenced before and to choose the requirements that are needed for the deployment of its Netapp, okay? Then on our last iteration, we will optimize this process and making it easier for the Netapp developer to choose the test bed where he wants his Netapp to be deployed. Then also during this phase is actually the deployment of the Netapp, okay? And as I said, the nodes will communicate with the NFVOs that are on the test beds, and the NFVOs will deploy and orchestrate the Netapps. After the deployment, we get to stage 3, the validation service triggering. Okay, so as I have said, we have a central CI/CD manager that is responsible for coordinating all the testing and all the validation process. Okay, once a Netapp is completely deployed, the nodes will trigger the CI/CD service. The CI/CD service will gather all the testing information from nodes, and it will trigger a new validation process in the CI/CD agent, which is deployed on the same test bed where the Netapp is deployed. Okay, so here in this slide on the left, you have a brief example of a testing descriptor. You can see that it is a YAML file with several parameters that the Netapp developers will have to fill in. Okay, but we will help the Netapp developers to fill in these parameters. Okay, we will have some tutorials to show how these parameters can be filled. Okay, and what the CI/CD manager will do is that it will generate this pipeline configuration file here on our right, having as base the testing descriptor that was initially onboarded by the Netapp developers. And it is this configuration file that will guide all the validation process. Okay, so during the testing phase, as I said, the CI/CD agents will gather some tests from the LTRs. Okay, Now, I said that each test bed was should comprise an LTR, okay? And this is because we can offer the same test in several test beds, but the actual implementation of the test may be different from test bed to test bed, okay? So, for instance, we can use different tools to implement a bandwidth test bed, okay? Thus, we have chosen to have one LTR, one local test repository per test bed, and that LTR will store the tests that should be executed in that test bed and that are explicitly implemented to be executed on that same test bed, okay? Here on the right, you have an example of one of the tests that is currently available in our ecosystem, a packet loss test. These tests are implemented using the Robot framework. Robot framework is a testing automation framework. Right now is the automation framework that we chose, but we will also support other testing automation frameworks, okay? As I said before, the Netapp developers will also be able to onboard their own implemented in their own defined tests. Okay, these tests will mainly validate the behavior and the functionality of the Netapp. For instance, if a Netapp has an API or should send some information, these tests should validate that, okay? Should validate the behavior of the Netapp, okay? After you, as a Netapp developer onboard these tests, we will have to transfer these tests to the target facility and then execute the tests and collect the results, okay? We are now working on defining a pool of tests, okay, of predefined tests that will become available in our ecosystem, okay? So we are aiming, well, actually this number here is wrong, I'm so sorry, but we are aiming on having a lot of tests, and we will provide those tests to the Netapp developers to validate their Netapps, okay? These tests will be classified according the test methodology, the priority, and the domain that is being tested, okay? We will have infrastructure tests, interface tests, interoperability tests, etc., etc. Now, after the test execution, we reach this stage, stage 5, which is the stage where we will gather the results of our validation process, okay? So, actually, Robot Framework will generate these results, okay? Robot Framework will generate a report file, it will generate a log file, okay? And these two files are enough for us to have a general view on how the validation process happened, okay, if everything was correctly validated or not, okay? So after the validation process, okay, after performing the tests, the CI/CD agent will gather these files, okay, and it will send these files to the CI/CD manager, okay? You can see here an example of one of our results files, for instance, here on the left. But okay, going back to the process of getting the results from the CI/CD agent. So as I was saying, the CI/CD manager will gather these files from our CI/CD agent, and then it will make them available via a dashboard that we have created explicitly for the Netapp developers to see and to explore the results of the validation of their Netapp, okay? After creating this visualization, the CI/CD manager will forward a URL to our nodes portal, okay? And when this URL is available in the portal, the Netapp developers will be able to go to this URL, to go to our TRVD, our test results visualization dashboard, and actually get the results of their validation, okay? So right now I have very brief demo of this process, okay? Okay, so it all starts in nodes with the configuration of a service order, okay? So actually, this is the platform that the Netapp developers will see, okay? The Netapp developers will get to the nodes portal, will configure everything, will onboard their tests, their testing descriptors, everything, and then the validation process will start. We will start with the deployment of the Netapps, Now I'm trying to, okay. No. Good. Okay, I was trying to speed this up a bit, but actually it is not working. Okay, now it stopped. No. No? No. Okay, perhaps if I, yeah. Okay. So sorry, okay. Okay, so here you can see that the deployment process is already finished, okay? And now a new validation process will be triggered, okay? Actually, the deployment is not finished. It is finishing right now. But we will then trigger a new validation process, okay? So I'll try to move to that part of the video for our demonstration. Okay, perhaps. Okay, here. Okay, so right now you will see the interface of Jenkins, the CI/CD agent that is executing the tests. Now, where were we? We were somewhere here, I think. This is not working as I expected, so sorry. Okay, the interface of Jenkins. Now I'll play the video and I'll stop messing around this. Okay, so right now Jenkins is executing all the tests, okay? And then after Jenkins executes all the tests, you will see the CI/CD manager collecting the tests, and you will see that the testing results will become available in our notes portal, okay? So here you see that the validation process is completed. For instance, in this test case we just executed, a bandwidth test. Right now there it was the URL for the TRVD, and here it is the TRVD interface where you can see all the steps of your testing process, and you can consult the results and the outcomes of your validation process. So with this we end the presentation of the 5GASP ecosystem. I don't know if you have any question. Jorge, if you want to join me on stage, just to answer a few questions. I don't know if we have any.
We have the chat open, so all our viewers can put a question in the chat. But meanwhile, I have a question, which is a very basic question, but some of our viewers will certainly have it, which is, what is the first step? So should I start with my code? Should I get an example code? Where can I find all this code?
The code regarding the validation of the Netapps, or regarding the Netapps, the creation of the Netapps itself?
Where do I start? The basic point is, where do I start?
Okay. Perhaps this one is for you, since you are the Netapp developer.
Okay, the start, I don't know if this is... okay, now. Well, the starting point obviously is you have to have your application, your application developed, and the starting point is we have a community webpage with guidelines. You will have examples of already deployed and already developed Netapps with all the descriptors defined. So you will have examples, templates of descriptors, etc. So you will not start from zero, of course. And this is the idea. This is the idea to ease this adoption, and in a few days you will be able even to have a first proof of concept of your Netapp.
Actually, if you go right now to our community portal, okay, community.5gasp.eu, you will find at least 4 tutorials. Okay, the first one is how to create a VNF from scratch. The second one is how to create a Juju charm. The third one is how to use that Juju charm to do some day 1 and day 2 operations. And I think that the fourth tutorial is a tutorial on how to test your VNFs using Robot Framework, which is what we are doing right now in 5GASP. So I think I think you should start there in the community portal. And also, if you have questions, you can also go to the forum.5gasp.eu and ask those questions. We will be there. We will respond to your questions. Okay. So please don't hesitate on making questions and interact with us.
I will put another rhetorical question from someone that might be looking into starting using. So they will get the example codes and the tutorials. And how much time would you say they will need to get to our demo point? So being able to onboard and having everything working. Well, so because this program, the Netapp Lab, will take 1 year. So they should be able to achieve this goal within this time frame.
Yeah, sorry. Exactly, as I mentioned before, the idea is to be as guided as possible. We will provide those examples and those templates that I believe, honestly, that in a few days, or in the worst case, in a few weeks, you will be able to have your first proof of concept. As with all this information, it is easy to map your components to the VNFs and just define the relationship, and there you go. You will have regarding the network, for example, you will have the examples of the testbed. So if the testbed that best suits your needs, you will have that information already available. And regarding the testing, we will have a pre-provided test from the portal. So to the basic operation, you will have you can do it by few, as I mentioned, few days, or even worst case few weeks. But I believe in few days it is possible to have this first version of the application.
Yes, I also agree with you. Okay, before having the tutorials that I have spoke about, at least in Atiavair, we took a long time to integrate a new person in our team, so that person was able to develop some VNF, some network service, etc. But right now, after watching those tutorials, in a week, you can have a VNF working with day 1 and day 2 operations. Okay, you can have a network service configured. You can do several things, okay, in just 1 week. So I think in 1 week, you will be able to have a proof of concept, okay? You won't be able to call that proof of concept a Netapp, but that's why our Netapp community exists, and that's why we are developing this process of teaching you how to create a Netapp, okay? And as Diogo said, this process will take a year, so by then you will be able to fully develop your own Netapp, okay, with our help.
In the audience here has any other questions? On the online chat, I see people are not yet daring to ask questions. So, do you have anything for our speakers now? Otherwise, I propose we take a break. We come back to the next hour sharp. So here in Romania, we're going to have lunch because it's 12 o'clock. Whether you're watching us from other time zones, you know when the next time sharp comes. So the next hour, let's get back here. We won't close the Zoom. You can still we have a question in chat. Oh, okay. Let's see. Do you have a learning pathway for the Netapps? A learning pathway.
If I understand, in my understanding of a learning pathway, as we mentioned in the community portal and also in the forums, etc., we have basically, you can see a series of articles with the step-by-step learning, not only about what we have mentioned about the development itself and the design and development itself, but also we have a description and tutorials about the technologies we are using, so you can fully understand the whole picture of the development of the Netapps, and also the integration in our platform, the technologies we are using to test, to deploy, and to have it online and working.
As Jorge said, we have several tutorials, but this idea of having a Netapp pathway is quite nice. Okay, we can even create, well, program, okay, we can sequentially organize the tutorials. So you can first do this tutorial, then this one, then this one, then this one. Like, we can guide you throughout your throughout your learning path. Okay, this is a quite nice idea. I think that we can do this in our community portal, and this is why you should attend to these events, because, well, we are hoping to engage with the community. We want to have your feedback so we can improve our project and so we can improve the NFV and the 5G communities. Okay, so that's an excellent idea, and I think that we will be able to work it. Okay, to work with it and to do something with it.
Thank you for the question, indeed. If all is clear, if it's not, I think we can take audio from Zoom. So if you want to unmute and just to add anything. Otherwise, I will count to 5 and wait for more questions. I see no more questions from Zoom, so we break now. We meet again, and in the meantime, the chat is still open, so we can have a chat. Thank you. Bye. Enjoy a coffee or a snack.